Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchious podcast. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously.
Yeah, here I am, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. And on today's episode of the Ambitchious podcast, I am going to be bringing you what I have dubbed the Healing Diaries, because I have been on a healing journey for a really long time, but the last 3 months have just been an explosion of healing and epiphanies and aha moments and stepping into my power and creating new boundaries and just really reminiscing on where I've been, who I am today, and where I'm going next. And I know that today's podcast is going to seem a little egocentric because I'm going to be talking a lot about myself and what I've been doing, but I am doing this so that I can inspire and light a fire under your tuchuses all out there in Ambitchious land so that you can take parts of my healing diaries and bring them into your own life so that you can live your most ambitious life going forward. I didn't really create notes and all kinds of things. I really deeply desire today to just speak to you from the heart and just to be my real, raw, honest, vulnerable self. And I'm going to be talking a lot of shit over the next couple podcasts because I have a lot of shit to talk. And you'll understand as we go how this is all going to unravel. But I want you to know how much I love you. I want you to truly understand that the reason why every week I go into my podcast room with not a lot of time to spare, because I'm a busy bitch. I'm not wearing that as a badge of honor, but I'll tell you why I'm a busy bitch in a second, just to get you guys up to speed with everything that's going on in my life. But I do it because there's nothing else to do. And I know that sounds a little like, what, Katie? What are you talking about? There in all of us lies a mission and a purpose. For some people, their mission is to become a stay-at-home mom, and they're going to raise the most incredible, loving, kind, wonderful children. And they're going to bake sourdough bread, and they're going to homestead, and they're going to have a chicken coop, and they're just going to make apple pie, and they're going to live their best trad wife life. And I am all for that. I don't have children of my own. It just was not in the cards for me. And as I get older and I do deeper healing work, I understand that children were actually never going to be part of my life contract. Now, I have a stepdaughter who is my child, and I love her. She's 27 years old. If you're listening to this in 2024, her name is Karina. She's 27 years old. And I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but if you're new here, I want to kind of get you up to speed. So when I met my then boyfriend, dating partner, whatever, my husband now, Matt, I actually did not want to go out with him. I was so turned off by him being divorced and a lot older than me and having a child. And that was just something that I always said to myself, like, I will never date a guy who's this much older than me. I will never date a man who has a child or children from some other woman because I don't need any fucking mama drama in my life. And I just don't know if I'm equipped to be the second wife. That was just always something that I guess knowing myself now, I was actually just afraid, and I was running from what was going to be the best things for me. And as you guys know, if you've listened to this podcast for a long time, you know that I've been married to Matt for over 10 years, and I am a mom to Karina. She is my child. When she introduces me to people, she says, "This is my mom," which to me is like so beautiful. And I don't know, it moves me. But having children of my own, even though before COVID, Matt and I were trying to get pregnant, I think I was doing it out of a place of like, well, this is just the next step. You got married, you have a successful career, and then you have a baby, and then, or maybe you have a couple babies. And God always has my back. The universe always has my back. God always has watched over me. And my purpose and my mission as I get older and I get wiser and I step back into these places of creation, I realized that children weren't in the cards for me because all of my clients are like my children and my family. And what gets me up out of bed in the morning is helping people. And what gets me excited is to watch people grow and evolve. And what fills me up with joy is working with my clients on the app and at Katie Boyd's Misfit Club, my wellness center in Hudson, New Hampshire, and watching my business mentorship clients build their online businesses and take freedom back into their lives without having to sell their souls to the devil, working 100 hours a week and never having enough money to do the things that they want to do. And so as I've had these epiphanies over the last couple of months, and that's why I say to people, it is so important to take creative breaks in your life. And I used to be really afraid of stopping podcasting because I started podcasting in 2018. And I always said to myself, Katie, you know business, you understand success, you know that consistency is key. And you know that if you start this podcast, you have to say for the next how many years or whatever, forever and ever, amen, that you are going to have to podcast and you can't take breaks, because if you take breaks, people will find other podcasts and they'll, give up on the ambitious lifestyle, the whole idea of it, and you'll be a failure. So I was so afraid to give myself these creative breaks. And then during the pandemic, we kind of were forced to give ourselves the break. And even though I missed podcasting, I didn't know at the time, but I know now that I was dying on the inside. I was exhausted. I was running myself ragged. I was working, 12-hour days at Katie Boyd's Misfit Club and podcasting and traveling all over the world, doing retreats and speaking engagements and writing my book, and then working with teams, publicity teams and PR people and marketing firms and social media people to get my book out there and take my brand to the next level and align myself with the right people. And then COVID happened, and then, all that went out the window. And even though at the moment I was like, there's nothing worse in life that could happen, it gave me this permission to take a creative break. And I feel like I need, as someone at my age and where I'm at in my life, I have to take those creative breaks because I get sick of myself. I get sick of my voice. I get sick of saying the same shit over and over and over again. There's days that I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so boring. Why do people even listen to this? But it's not because I really truly believe that. It's actually because I need, and I'm going to use the N word because we usually say desire, but I needed a creative break. And so now every couple of months, I take these creative breaks so that I can work on myself. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're new or you've been here, you're an OG or an OB, you're an original bitch, and you've been listening since the jump, you know that this is my life's purpose. My life's purpose is to give women the tools to be the head bitches in charge and the head bitches in control of their ambitious lives. And how dare I have the audacity to do what I do and then tell you all to do something and then me not do it. And I fucking I loathe entirely, in the Grinch's voice, I despise people that tell people what to do and they don't do it themselves. And one thing about me is my goal is to always come here and anywhere else that I'm in the public arena and be so raw and be so real, because I want you to hear this not on a 3-dimensional outside level. I want you to hear this in a soul cellular level. I want this to seep into your subconscious mind. And I want you to understand that my deepest desire is to be, if you're younger, a mother figure to you, a big sister, a best friend. I want to motivate, I want to inspire, and I want to really give the tools to be the best that you can be. And I've been feeling lately like self-development, it can be a little bit of a cult, and it can be a little bit of a trap. It can also be a crutch that we tend to lean on. And I noticed that I do that myself. So I'm entitling this The Healing Diaries. So the next 12 episodes that are going to be running from in real time, October 8th until the last week in December, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I think off the top of my head. I'm going to be so vulnerable, so raw, so real. I'm going to be a version of Katie that you've never seen before. And I hope you appreciate it. And if you don't, that's fine too. There's plenty of other podcasts out there that are going to bullshit you and just tell you what you want to hear and not really give you any real tangible tools to utilize. They're going to give you fluff. And if that's the life that you want to live, like, please, you're not welcome here. If you want fluff and you want pomp and circumstance, then go there. If you want raw, real, vulnerable, and hardcore tools to take your life to the next level, because at the end of the day, like, what the fuck else is there in life? All there is in life is growth. All there is in life is ascension and just waking up every day to be a little bit better than you were yesterday. And if you're exhausted or you're burnt out or you're overworked and you're losing your light and you're losing that ambitious spark, I am giving you the permission, if you're looking for it, to take a step away and just go into dark mode and really, truly get angry and get frustrated at where you are in your life. Because if things are too comfortable and everything is just la-di-da, there's no reason to change. And I'm speaking from firsthand experience. So the Healing Diaries are going to consist of my own life stories, stories on how I overcame the adversity, real tangible tools to change your life, and just real vulnerable stories. I really want to have my parents on my podcast because, as you guys know, I've had difficult relationships with my mom and dad. And as I get older, I start to soften more towards them and their shortcomings as parents. But I also see the beauty in them and the humanness in them as I get older. So that's one thing I'm really trying to work on for this Healing Diaries kind of string of episodes that we're going to be doing over the next couple months, is getting my mom and dad on the podcast, talking about the things that I have been doing to take my life to the next level, talking about some hard things, and really breaking down everything that I have been doing and what I am going to be doing going forward in the hopes that it inspires you. Okay. So before I get into what I want to talk about today, I want to use my favorite cards. It's Witch Oracle cards. So Witch stands for woman in total control of herself. It's really funny. I have been, you guys know I was raised a good Catholic girl, and I love baby Jesus, and I love church, and I love all the rituals and all that. I love it. But I also come from a long line of healers in my family on both my mother and my father's side. My father's grandmother and that side of the family were very mystical. More so my Portuguese side, my mother's side of the family, my grandmother, my matriarchal side of the family. We come from a long line of what's called Fitsetas, and we were the healers of our villages. And because my mom was raised so strict Catholic, she really kind of shunned all of her powers. And I think part of my life's purpose is to be the breaker of the chains of the ancestral wounding that I and my family have gone through generation after generation. And I'm going to tell you this right now. It's really fucking hard to be the bolt cutter of those chains, of those ancestral curses and generational wounds. And I think one of the most difficult charges that we as humans with souls on this three-dimensional earth plane have is to be the black sheep of the family, which usually ends up to be the goat, the greatest of all time, because that black sheep of the family usually is the one that becomes their ancestors' wildest dreams. And I was thinking, and I'm going to get emotional because I really want to be real with you guys, and you guys know I don't cry, but if it happens, it happens. If you read my book, Ambitchious, which, what are you doing if you haven't read this book yet? You can buy it on my website, kbmfc.com. Ship it right to your house. Put a beautiful note inside. But I was thinking, and I'm going to get to my cards, because listen, I don't have anything planned. I want to talk from my heart. So just follow this bitch, okay? Follow the bouncing dildos. And the balls. I was thinking the other day, I was driving home from work, and I had worked a really long day because I opened Katie Boyd Smith's Fit Club again, and we're doing personal training and healing sessions and nutrition and all this great stuff, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it as an elder in the community, because it's definitely a young person's game to be teaching workout classes and doing all this shit. But as an elder in the health and wellness space, and I would have to say, I'm going to just say it, I'm kind of a legend. I'm kind of an icon. I'm just going to dub myself that. But I've been doing this for a really long time, 25 years, and I've done some amazing stuff, right? Was the official coach for Miss Universe and USA and Miss America pageants, and I had my own television show on E! Style and Bravo called Wicked Fit. And, I've traveled the world, and I've been on Dr. Oz, and I've done all these really cool, amazing things. And I was just thinking about wow, Katie, how lucky are you that you get to go into your studio that you own the building, you own the real estate, you own the studio. And you get to pick and choose who you work with. You get to just pick and choose who you work with. You don't have to take just any schlep off the road and just train them because you have no money and you have to pay the rent. And I was driving home the other day from work, and I started getting so emotional, and I was thinking about my dad's mom, who you guys know I wrote about her in my book, and she was really the inspiration for the whole ambitious lifestyle. But I started thinking about my grandmother, and I wonder, did she have real dreams? Would she lay in bed at night and think about her future and the amazing things that she would do? And then I know her as a young child and a young adult. I lost my grandmother when I was about 27, and I would give 10 years of my life just have one more day with her, just to ask her questions about, different things that I never got to. But I think about, she was so loved by so many people, but I got to see a different side of my grandmother where she was a people pleaser, and she had a lot of tragedy in her life. She lost her son when he was 19 years old in a motorcycle accident. My dad was only 14 years old. And she lost my aunt when she was in her early 30s from cancer. And then she lost her husband and in a tragic accident. And, my dad turned to alcohol to numb. And then my aunt, who is my father's sister, she definitely became like a recluse, and almost in a lot of ways like a shut-in, kind of had agoraphobia, still does, and is such a talented woman and so smart and such a great painter and an artist. And I can't even draw a fucking stick figure. And this woman just can paint like you've never seen anything like it in your life. And, I think about her and I'm like, God, didn't she want more for her life? Like, why wouldn't she have opened a gallery or sold her art online? Or I think about my grandmother and I say to myself, my grandmother worked at a local golf course, and she would make the guys drinks and make the guys sandwiches and, shoot the shit with them. And then she also worked at like a donut shop, like going in early in the morning and waitressing the counter. And, she worked so hard in her yard. She had a garden and all these different things. And she was so smart, so talented, and so loving. And she never did anything like big with her life. And she kind of died in poverty. My grandmother died of pancreatic cancer. And, she was living in New Jersey in a double wide trailer. And I would say to her, why are you doing this? Like, you don't have to do this. And she's just like, I don't know. I like my life simple. And I think about that a lot. And I say to myself, like, wow, you are your ancestors' wildest dreams. You are your ancestors' wildest dreams. You have everything in the world to make your life amazing. And you still self-sabotage and you still fuck up and you still do shitty things and have bad habits and ruminate too much and yell at your husband and, abuse yourself sometimes and have low vibrational frequency chatter in your mind and judge people and judge yourself and all these things. And it's like, I was thinking driving home and I'm like, in 2 generations, like no one's even going to know I was alive. Like all the people around me in 100 years will be dead and buried. And I give a fuck about what people think about me. And I care about trying to fit myself into a smaller pair of jeans. And then I say to myself, but you're still living in the 3rd dimensional reality and you're still a human being and you still have wants and needs and quirks, and hang-ups and dark shadow sides to yourself. And I really have been thinking a lot about this lately. And I'm here to tell you that the Healing Diaries are really going to be about truly becoming liberated from anything and anyone that weighs you down so that you can live this precious human life that God has gifted you to the best of your abilities. And you're going to know when to push and you're going to know when to rest and you're going to know when to relax and you're going to know when to charge forward. And I'm going to help you do that because I'm going to be doing it with you. And I think the best leaders in the world do the work with the people that they're leading. And they don't seem better than, and they don't try to make themselves be higher than or elite. Everyone's on the same playing field and we're all doing this together. Because one thing I have really learned in the last couple of months is that we as a society and as a world have to collectively come together so that we can move mountains. It says divided we fall. Well, it's true. It also says in the Bible 365 times, be not afraid. And I am so sick of being afraid, of being the fullest glory of the power that God and the universe and my ancestors have instilled in me. And I am so grateful and I am so lucky that I get to wake up every day and do this work and get paid for it. Like, how amazing. I think of my grandmother and I'm like, she never made the money that I made and have made and will make. She probably in her whole lifetime didn't even make what I make in 1 year of my life. And we have to learn from the past and we cannot forget the past. That's why a lot of the world right now is so hell-bent on erasing the past. And when you forget the past, you are bound to relive it. And I don't know about you, but I ain't going backwards. So I want you to come on this ride with me. I want you to really hear what I'm saying to you. And I don't want you to judge me and I don't want you to judge yourself, but I want you to hear the most important words that are coming out of my mouth. And you will hear them as motivation and sparks of light and motivation and anticipation and exuberance. So before we start, I want to read a little card. You guys can buy these on my website. They are the best cards in the world. This is all we use at the studio. This is all we use on my app. The ladies love these cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock out the old energy from the last reading. I'm just going to shuffle them up. You guys, don't make fun of me if you're watching at home. I'm the worst shuffler. I will never be getting a job in Las Vegas, so don't make fun. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call in our power posse. So if you have your cards at home, you can do this as well, but you just hold them in your left hand, place your right hand over them, and close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. Just fill yourself up with Holy Spirit, God, Goddess, Universal Life Force energy, all of our guardians and guides and loved ones who are no longer here on this three-dimensional earth plane, and all of our ancestors who came before us, and our galactic family of beings of light. Surround us and fill up our vessels with your light and your love and your ancient wisdom. Give us the message that we, as Ambitchious, collectively desire today. In Jesus' name, amen, and thank you in advance. And so it is. Okay, so let's see which card I'm feeling. Okay, this is the one. Let's see. Okay, this is a great card. I love this card. It's the Selkie card. And all you have to do is, it's number 5. So what you do, you don't have to be a tarot reader, an oracle, or whatever. You just go to your little book here. You go to number 5 in the book, and you find the Selkie. And this is what it says. I really love this card. Okay. So it says, legend tells of the Selkie, a shape-shifting woman seal who often is seen off the coast of northern Scotland, who can shed her skin by moonlight and dance upon the shores. Fishermen were known to catch the seal's made skin in order to keep her pinned to the land, captured as a bride, preventing her return to her true skin and soul's home. To reclaim your soul skin, in the current legend you're living, you must let go of the good girl pelt you were raised to wear. I literally have fucking chills all over my body. Like, chicken skin, look at it. This means getting comfortable with letting people have their own ideas about who you are so that you can develop the freedom to be what is most natural to you. Toss off all that no longer fits you and dive deep into the places where your soul feels most at home. Let go of old demands you put yourself under to be the good girl, the good friend, the good daughter, the good wife, the good mother. Shed the pelt of expectation. Demand approval. Demand and approval, including your own. The witch, woman in total control of herself, you are becoming will cost you relationships, spaces, comfort, security, and convenience. Choose her over everything. That was a fucking awesome card. Like, how good was that card? And it does it not just go along with everything that I'm saying right now? When you break through comfort zones, and I've done it a million times and I will continue to do it until the last breath leaves my body, it is not easy. It is the most painful thing that you can do. But what is the alternative? What's the alternative? Being mediocre? I don't know about you, but I don't think that God was like, oh, Katie's going to be amazing, and then this one's going to be mediocre, and that one's going to be great, and this one's going to suck, and that person over there is going to be a shit bag, and this person's going to be wonderful. I don't think so. I think that God puts us all on an even playing field on a soul level. And then when we're brought to earth, we are born into our three-dimensional circumstances, and it is up to us on a soul level to say, I know that I was born into this poverty. I know I was born into this alcoholism, this drug addiction, this abuse, this narcissism, this whatever. But it's up to me, because I know that I'm a child of the Most High God and I can move mountains. And that is what being ambitious is all about. So how are you going to change your life? I am starting on Monday. So you're listening to this on a Tuesday, October 8th. That's when this guy is dropping. But on Monday, the day before this podcast drops, I'm starting a 12-week challenge. And I'm following the book, The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran. If you haven't read that book already, it's amazing. We're actually going through the whole entire book, chapter by chapter, on my app right now. And then we're doing all the work in the book. And we're also doing it as a community. So not just alone, but we're doing it as a community in the Ambitchious app. And we're also doing it at Katie Boyd's Misfit Club, my wellness center. And I've been doing the 12-week year for probably the last 9 months, and it has totally changed my life. Not only have I lost 30 pounds, which I don't even know why I found them in the first place. It was during COVID, and I was just living my fucking best bourbon-filled, carbohydrate-filled life. Because I was like, well, we're going to die anyway, so might as well just fucking eat and drink. Still here. So I lost 30 pounds. I've doubled my income in the last 3 months. So when everyone else is freaking out and being like, the economy is so bad, blah, 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 I've actually doubled my income, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do it all over the next 12 podcasts. But the first thing to change your life in 90 days, so 12 weeks, is number one, and I've gone over this in my app even more than I have in the podcast. So if you're looking to really take your life to the next level, this podcast is amazing, but the real nitty-gritty hardcore work is on my app. So if you're interested in joining my app, I'm actually taking on a couple new clients for the app itself. I am very particular in who I let into my community because I guard it with my life. And I know that one person's funky energy can ruin a whole entire world. And it's happened before, and I will never let that happen again. But what I do now is I get on a phone call. It's totally free. And I talk to the person that wants to join the app, and I go over their goals, their dreams, their aspirations, what's holding them back, their limiting beliefs. We create a plan, and then I have them join the app, and I give them very concrete plan of action to change their lives. So that's number one. Or also, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. So either way, there's a whole interview process. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can email me at help, HELP, at kbmfc.com. So katieboydsmisfitclub.com. And we will schedule a call. And I'm really excited to do that. So if you're like, hey, I'm ready to join this app, I'm ready to take my life to the next level, because how dope would it be if you started to change your life now, and by 2025, the new year, you were already like, yeah, so what? I'm already like ahead of the game. Like, I think to me, that's amazing power. But the first thing that you have to do to change your life is you have to pick between 1 and 3 goals, no more. I've noticed that I've been watching a lot of people lately, and they're just trying to do so many things, and they're like kind of running around like chickens with their heads cut off. And I'm just like, dude, you are like an octopus, and your tentacles are in way too many baskets. And this is why you can't get anything accomplished. So choose 1 to 3 goals. How I choose the goals is I use the wheel of life. We talk a lot about that in the app. There's a whole entire library of just wheel of life stuff. But the 3 things, and if you're watching this on YouTube, so if you can't hear it, if you're just listening, you can't see if you're listening to the podcast, but if you're watching on YouTube, this is my little book that I wrote my goals. So I entitled it Operation HBIC, because every good op needs a title. So my 3-month, 90-day goal is called Operation HBIC. It starts October 7th and it runs until December 29th. So the top 3 goals for the remainder of 2024 for me personally are health and wellness. So that's 1, kind of runs together. Finance and business, number 2. And number 3, which is different for me, but it's a creativity goal, which I haven't had in a really long time. But when I took my little break, my little hiatus from podcasting, and I went on my little creativity detox, I was like, one thing that I really feel like is missing in my life is creativity. And I'm really working on inner child healing. And children are so creative. And as we get older, it kind of gets like stomped out of us. And it's like, come on, grow up, stop daydreaming and get to work kind of energy. And I feel like that kills our souls. So one of my other goals is a creativity goal. So pick 1 to 3 goals. I'm choosing 3. And then what you do is you write in your book. Okay, so let's just say it's health and wellness. So I say, by January 1st, 2025, I will weigh fill in the blank. I'm not going to tell you. Some things are goddamn sacred. Okay, people. So by January 1st, 2025, I will weigh fill in the blank pounds, and I will be fill in the blank body fat percentage. My measurements will be of, and I put my measurements down, my goal. So like chest, waist, hips. And again, this really is in alignment with all of my years of coaching in the pageant and the fitness industry. I'm very detail oriented of like numbers and just quantifying things, because if it's not measured, it can't be managed. And that's just, maybe I'm old school like that, but that's just how I am. Then I said, I will look physically fit and I will be an inspiration to women over 40 years of age. The remainder of this year will be dedicated to my glow up. Okay. So that's my first thing. So you're stating by this date, you're giving it a timeline. It's so important to give yourself a timeline, because Parkinson's law says pretty much however long you give something is how long it's going to take. So if you say, okay, in 3 months, I'm going to weigh this, I'm going to look like this, I'm going to be like this, then that's how long you have. Okay. My second goal is financial and business. So what I said was by January 1st, 2025, I will be attracting this much money a month. And this will be through Katie Boyd's Misfit Club and Ambitchious. Okay. And so I said Katie Boyd's Misfit Club, Ambitchious, my app, my studio, Katie Boyd's Misfit Club, events, mentorship programs. That's like the services that I will provide for this money. Because a lot of people want to get rich and they're not giving service. They're not adding value to the world. The more value you add to the world, the more money you're going to make. It's just a universal law of reciprocity. Okay. And my last goal is a creative goal. So for a really long time, I've been like, I really want to YouTube. I think like I love YouTube. I love watching like transformation videos, inspirational type of things. I love watching like what I eat in a day, like what I eat in a week, what my workouts are. Like I love watching people. I know this sounds crazy, and I'm sure you're like, no, it doesn't sound crazy. I love it too. I like watching people organize. I like watching people like decorate their homes. I don't know. It just feels this like satisfying kind of itch. And people always say to me, like, why don't you do that? Why don't you vlog? And I'm just like, oh God, it's so much work. And I don't want to learn how to be an editor. So if you know anyone who's an editor who wants to work on my YouTube channel with me, I pay well, I'm hiring. But my creative goal is by 1/1/25, so January 1st, 2025, I will have this many subscribers on my YouTube channel. And the person that I hire to be my editor will work closely together on creating my new brand endeavor. And really, it's just more brand awareness. And I want people to see behind the scenes of my life. I don't know. It just humanizes people, in my opinion, to see that. So that's the first thing. So you choose your goals. Then you say to yourself, okay, then on the next page, I break it down and I say, how will I achieve these goals? Because here's the deal. It's one thing to have a goal, but it's another thing to actually say, okay, here's my goal. And these are all the things that I know, right, that have to happen for me to achieve this goal. Okay. So I said, goal number 1, health and wellness. This goal is my number 1 goal. So out of the 3, the most important one for me is my health and wellness. I am fully aware that my financial and creative endeavors revolve and are correlated with the health goal. So what I'm saying is, the healthier you get, the more money you make. The healthier you get, the more creative you become, because as your body gets healthier and you start feeling more confident about the way you look on a 3-dimensional level, everything else just flows. Because I've noticed like, oh, I don't want to be on camera because I look fat or I feel fat. And listen, you guys might say to me, oh my God, Katie, you look so beautiful and I would love to have a body like you and all that. I'm not body shaming anyone. I'm not body shaming myself. I'm just telling you my real, raw, innermost thinkings of my mind when I watch a video of myself in my kitchen and I feel like I have a double chin. And I feel like my titties are sagging down to my kneecaps. And I feel like I have like, 2 squirrels fighting in a wet paper bag under my fucking pajamas pants. Those are my ass cheeks. Okay. I'm not shaming. I'm just saying this is like every woman feels this way. I don't give a fuck who you are, unless you have like some kind of like you had a lobotomy or something. And so I said by January 1st, blah, blah, blah. So I reiterated my goal again. And I said, how will I achieve this goal? So How do you achieve a health and wellness goal like this? I'll tell you, because I've been doing it for 25 years and I've helped tens of thousands of women look and feel very healthy. Okay. So the first one is to do 1 hour of cardio 7 days a week. That is so easy. I just bought standing desks for my my equipment at my gym, and I also have a gym at my house. So I have like a little thing that I'm gonna start using to like keep my my laptop and some work and stuff. So 1 hour cardio 7 days a week, lifting 5 days a week, yoga 3 days a week, stretching after my cardio 7 days a week. So that means stretching, myofascial release, like all that kind of stuff. I've been taking a peptide called Somorelin. It's a secretagogue. It's a secretagogue to the precursor to growth hormone. So what it does is it doesn't give you growth hormone, but it tells your pituitary gland to release more of your own natural growth hormone. And what that does is it's good for your hair and your skin and your nails and longevity and keeping your body fat tissue low and your muscle high and rebuilding bone. I'm actually going today to go see Dr. Applebaum for my pellet because I'm also on hormone replacement therapy. You guys can go back and listen to the Dr. Applebaum podcast. I'm not going to get too into that today, but I've noticed since I've been on HRT and my testosterone levels are back up where they're supposed to be, not non-existent like they were last year. And I was suicidal and I was like, well, what's the point of life? And I feel like shit. And I'm not trying to like be funny. I actually was very nihilistic. And I was like, if this is life, like I don't want to do it. And I was really going through a lot of depression and I was having crazy out of body anxiety attacks and all these things. And it was because my hormone levels were so low. And now that I'm on my HRT, I feel like $1 million. And that also helps, keep your muscle mass. So that's number 5. Number 6, fasting when appropriate. I just did a round of A28P. I lost 30 pounds during A28P. I feel amazing. By the way, guys, A28P is part of my app experience. So if you join the app, you can get A28P and do A28P whenever you want to. And it's wicked, wicked awesome, as we say in Boston. But now for the next 3 months, I'm going to be fasting when it's appropriate and when I feel like it. I'm going to be doing a very specific meal plan. I'm going to be sharing it on my app mostly, like the recipes and like my day-to-day, but I share it on my social media a little bit. But fasting when appropriate, 1 gallon of water a day, supplements every day, weekly measurements, pictures, and documentation daily, because like I said, if you're not measuring it, it's not going to be managed. And I'm going to be eating a lot of protein. So protein-focused meal plan, okay? All of my meal plans are on my app. And my biggest thing, if I can give you any inspiration on this, is for every pound of ideal weight that you desire to be. So let's just say you weigh 180 pounds right now, but you're like, I feel amazing when I'm about 140 pounds. Then you should be eating 140 grams of protein a day. That's just a good rule of thumb. I don't like to get into counting macros and all this shit all the time. I think it's just like too much work. And I did that for years. And every time I do that, I notice I go back to very much like this just kind of disordered eating. And I have an eating disorder. I don't have it anymore, but I notice when I do those things, it triggers certain parts of my brain. And I'm like, this isn't healthy for me. I can't be doing this. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of this stuff on my app, but good rule of thumb, 1 gram of protein per ideal pound of body weight. And I have my whole meal plan here in my book. Okay. And then every Monday, I'm going to be weighing myself, measuring myself, and I'm going to be documenting this all for my new YouTube channel that I'm going to be creating. And then what I do is I make meal plan ideas. So like this last week, I transitioned off my last 12-week year. By the way, I'm going to be getting into the 12-week year and all these other things in upcoming podcasts. But I transitioned out of the 12-week year. Then in between the 12-week year, they call it the 13th week, which is like this week, either you take an extra week to really hit your goals, or you take a week to kind of like reflect and say like what worked and judge yourself and measure yourself and say, okay, now in my next 12-week year, these are the things I really have to work on. And these are the things I really have to double down on. So I'm coming out of my 13th week right now. And so like this week, I made a beautiful beef stew that was all organic, super yummy. The recipe is going to be on my app. I did egg roll in a bowl, which is so easy. It takes 5 minutes to make. It's literally organic ground pork, a couple bags of coleslaw mix, ginger, garlic, onions, some green onions, a little gluten-free soy sauce, a little bit of rice wine and vinegar, a little bit of sesame oil. You you cook that all up. I put some spicy sriracha or garlic chili crunch from Momofuku on it. Sometimes I'll take a couple fried eggs and throw that in there and mix that all up. Delicious. I'm making stuffed cabbage soup this weekend because I do love a soup. I'm a spooky bitch, so I love this time of year and I love making soups and stews. What else am I doing today? I'm going to do some duck breasts with some roasted potatoes and some veggies. The other night I did Portuguese style piri piri pork chops, and I did it with a beautiful garden salad. I've been having, I know this sounds ghetto, but I'm Portuguese and I love this, cans of sardines and olive oil, super high in protein, avocado, beef sticks. I love them. They're called chomps. They're wicked good if you can find them. Sometimes Costco carries them, and they're definitely at Whole Foods. I've seen them at other places too. Sometimes I just like veggies with dip. Like I'll make my own ranch dip, or there's a really good dip that's like called Cindy's, and it's like a French onion dip. What else am I doing? I have a bunch of spaghetti squash from my garden. So I've been doing like a meat sauce with spaghetti squash with a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. So like today I had for breakfast, I had like a gluten-free bagel with some cottage cheese and some everything bagel seasoning on top with a couple slices of like deli ham, protein shake. So I'm going to be documenting all these types of things. And I'm not like trying to make you hungry right now, but I always say fail to plan to fail. You got to know like what you're eating. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing at all times. Okay. Now, the second thing is you're financial in business. And these are the things that I do also with my mentorship clients. So I have a girl right now who I freaking adore. Her name is Elle Dietrich. She's out of San Diego. She's an esthetician, but she's like a holistic esthetician. So she doesn't just do skincare and facials, but she also teaches you like how to eat and how to, take your stress levels down and your cortisol and all that stuff. And I've been working with her. Her app is launching in the next couple of days that me and my media company have been working on with her. And these are the things that I did with her before we even started doing the business aspects, because you got to get your mindset straight. I can give you the best business advice. I can give you all the business advice that I have used over the last 25 years to become a multimillionaire and to become as successful as I am. But I'm giving people like the Cliff's Notes version so they don't have to go through all the pain and agony that I'd had to go through to like learn the hard way. So we do a lot of this kind of life coaching work. And then we get into like the business of it, the financials, the business, the marketing, the branding, all that stuff. Obviously, Elle is doing an app for her skincare, which is so cool because it's a one-to-many model, and she can help people all over the world that don't live in the Southern California area, right? With this app. So that being said, like I've done with Elle, like I've done with all of my business program mentorship ladies, is we do the mindset stuff first, and then we get into like these types of things. So the second thing is my financial goals. So remember I said by January 1st, I will be making this much money a month, blah, blah, blah. And then I say to myself, how will I accomplish this? Well, I have my app. That's a stream of income. I have Katie Boyd's Misfit Club. That's a stream of income. I have my mentorship one-on-one clients. That's a stream of income. And then I have extras. So what are extras in my business? My extras are having special events, like Witchapalooza. We're having a Witchapalooza on All Souls Day. That's November 2nd. That's a full day event. I make these beautiful boxes with all their little doodads in it. So fun. Check it out on my website. Swag. I have my Amazon storefront. I have affiliate programs. I have book sales, retreats, collabs, speaking engagements. I do like monthly boxes. I'll have my YouTube channel, which will monetize, my podcast, which will monetize, and I also do healing sessions. And then the next thing that I wrote here under all that is ask yourself, and I want you to hear this, okay? Listen to me right now. I want you to ask yourself, is the thing I'm about to do getting me further away or closer to the person I desire to be? And if the answer is no, it's not getting me closer, then my question to you is, why the fuck are you doing it? Like, so much of the shit we do in our lives is frivolous and just bullshit. And it's that 80-20 rule, which is 20% of the things that you do create 80% of the affluence and abundance and success in your life. It's not the opposite way. So we really have to ask ourselves in the next couple of months, while we're doing our healing, while we're really working on becoming the most ambitious versions of ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, everything we do, everything we say, all of our actions, all of our thoughts, all the people that we're spending our time with, all the things we're giving our fucks to, all the things that we're ruminating on and perseverating about, and things that we think are ruining our lives. We have to say to ourselves, is the thing I'm about to do, are the thoughts I'm about to think, are the actions I'm about to act upon getting me closer to or further away to the person I desire to be? And if you want to look like a fucking bodybuilder and you don't want to go to the gym and you want to stay home and eat Krispy Kreme donuts, then what do you think? Is that action getting you further away or closer to being that fitness all-star, right? And so that's the first thing that we have to do. We have to name what we want. So name it to claim it. We have to write it out as if it has already happened. We have to embody being that person, right? So like, what would a fit person act like? How would she show up? How would she eat? How would she be? Which, you know what I mean? Like, same thing. How would a millionaire act? How would a millionaire show up? How would they dress? How would they act? How would they be? We have to ask her, how would a creative person be? How would an artist be? How would this person be? How would that person be? We have to ask ourselves those questions. We have to show up and embody it before it happens, because it's a vibrational frequency. If we act as if we are, it's coming to us. The world, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is just co-creating with you to bring you those things, right? Asking yourself that question, is the thing I'm about to do getting me closer to or further away? Is honestly, it's so simple, but it's so crazy how people will not just do that simple act. They just won't, right? The other thing that I want you to do is I want you to sit down with a journal. And I had to do this and it was fucking awful. It was awful. There's a book I'm reading right now, and I've read it about 30 times, and I'm going to read it again. It's called The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weist. And she talks about, it's called Transforming Self-Sabotage into Self-Mastery. And we're doing a masterclass on my app about this right now. And one of the things that she says in the book is, you have to get so fucking angry and so rageful. You have to get to the point in your life where you scream out loud and say, I am not going to fucking take this anymore. I am not going to keep living this life. And then when you get angry enough, you sit with your journal and you write down everything that you don't like about yourself. I don't care if it's like you don't like your chin, you don't like your left boob is bigger than your right boob, you don't like that you're a self-sabotager, you don't like that you're a procrastinator, you don't like that, you get PMS and you lose like days of your life every month before your period. You don't like the home that you're living in, the car you're driving, the amount of money that you're making, the body that you're in, the way you're sleeping, the people that are in your life. You got to fucking write it down, because you have to know how dire you are in your life. The dire straits that you have created for your life. You have to fucking really get angry, and you have to face it head on, because that's going to be the first catalyst that helps you really stop playing the victim and take radical responsibility for where you are in your life. Because I'm going to tell you this right now, my friend, no one's coming to fucking save you. And no one gives a fuck. They only care about themselves. And I don't mean that to be mean. I mean that because that's how people are fucking wired. And we think that people are always thinking about us, and they're not. They're not. They're thinking about their own fucked up shit and their own fucked up lives. And we have to think about playing the long game. So yes, I'm giving you advice to change your life in 3 months, but I don't want you after the 3 months to be like, whoa, ho hum, I can go back to my mediocre piece of shit self. It's like, you got to see the future. It's funny because I haven't watched the show yet, but it's the Menendez brothers show that's on Netflix right now. And I've heard through the grapevine that one of the Milli Vanilli songs, Milli Vanilli, if you guys are young, they were like a band. The two guys, they were a band back in like the 80s and like the 90s. And I guess I was kind of young, but I remember this. They got caught lip syncing at a show. And one of the guys committed suicide because he was so embarrassed that they auto-tuned his voice. And little did he know that 30 years later, his song would be like back on the top of the charts, and that Milli Vanilli would be famous again because of this movie. Same thing with Kate Bush from Stranger Things. You know that song, running up that hill, running up that building. You know that song? Okay. she had not made an album or done anything in like 30 something years. And all of a sudden Stranger Things puts that song in their last episode, their last season. And Kate Bush's whole entire career is revitalized. It only takes one moment for your whole life to change. And we think that our best days are behind us. And this poor bastard killed himself because he was so embarrassed that he was lip syncing. And now everybody fucking lip syncs. Not one person that is a famous singer right now doesn't not lip sync. And this guy killed himself because of it. Because he couldn't play the long game. There was something in him where like the embarrassment of this was just too much that he was just like, I have to end it. And I think that we have to really work on playing the long game. We also have to really work on healing trauma. I think that a lot of people don't want to do the work because it's daunting and it's fucking hard and it's soul crushing. And I've been doing it for so long and I'm still not even close to where I desire to be with how healed I am. But if healing is a priority to you, you have to make it the priority. So that needs to be maybe your number one thing that you say, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm just going to work on healing myself and healing my trauma and healing my relationships and fixing things in my life. Because when you fix them now, you're not going to have to worry about that shit in the future. And I'd rather heal myself on a soul level now while I'm cute and young and not wait till I'm 90 years old and be like, wow, I really got to heal that shit from my childhood. Like, fuck that shit. Okay. And the last thing that's really going to help us for the next 90 days is to create serious systems and rituals. And I'm going to be teaching you everything in the next 12 weeks on how I've been doing it. And I'm going to be giving you real tangible tools to do it. And I'm going to be bringing you on that journey with me. And I hope that you keep coming back and watch and be inspired and share it with other people who maybe need a little bit of ambitious in their life. So in the meantime, until next week, if you haven't already, but you listen to our podcast on Apple or Spotify, I would love for you to give us a beautiful 5-star review. And if I read your review on the podcast and you email me at help@kbmfc.com and say, hey, I'm the one that left you that review, I'm going to send you a beautiful box of swag as a thank you from me to you for taking time out of your busy life to give Ambitchious some love. And if you share Ambitchious on your social media, tag me in it. I'll send you gifts then too. Listen, I'm abundant. I can afford it. I love to give people gifts. So all you have to do is give me a heads up that you're doing it and I will send you a beautiful gift. And if you haven't already bought Ambitchious the book, what are you waiting for? Head on over to kbmfc.com, okay, and get the book and I'll ship it to you and I'll write you a handwritten note and I'll send you a little gift over here, not just the book, but a little gift also. And we have some really amazing events coming up at Katie Boyd's Fit Club. We have Witchapalooza. We're planning a Bitchapalooza. We're going to be getting some retreats under our belts for 2025. There's a lot of amazing things and opportunities to work with me and our Ambitchious crew and just meet some amazing like-minded women. Like I said, I'm also bringing on a couple new clients to the app and also to mentorship programs. So if you haven't already, reach out to me so we can hop on that call and see if it's a good fit for us to work together. And in the meantime, just stay ambitious, be tough, be strong, be that bitch, but don't forget to stay ambitious. And welcome back to the Ambitchious podcast. And I'm so excited for the Healing Diaries. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Love you.